This conference will now be recorded.
Someone's got to mute there.
And whoever that is, please mute their mic. All right, I went ahead and muted him. Go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry about that.
I think I was done. I support CDS for production solutions pretty much across the board, starting in New York State, parts of Connecticut, parts of New Jersey, and Pennsylvania as well. So I probably know many of you and look forward to working with you in the future. Back to you.
Thank you. And also joining us today, we have Jack Kindle from EFI. If you'd like to just introduce yourself quickly, Jack.
Hey, everybody. I support CDS as a fiery sales development manager. I'm a sales and tech resource, do training, help out with demos. Have known Alan Tesler for probably about 25 years. And I'm happy to be here today talking to you guys about how to maximize your fiery investments.
Thank you. And lastly, one of our service managers and production analysts, Ernie Amundsen. If you'd like to just introduce yourself quickly, Ernie.
Yeah, sure. Ernie Amundsen. I've been doing this for 35 years, 33 years with Xerox, the last year and a half with CDS. I support CDS as a production printing analyst and service manager.
Awesome. Thank you. And so that covers the host for today's webinar. And moving on. So for today's webinar, I've laid out an agenda for us to discuss. And first and foremost, we will address the service and supplies for our existing clients, and we'll discuss some topics and then conclude with the Q&A. But before we address these topics, I just wanted to address a few things. And the first being, we're here for you. Second, we feel your pain in regards to what's happening right now. And third, we're sharing these topics and ideas with you given the current circumstances because we truly believe they can help your business in a changing market. So as we address these topics briefly, please enter any questions that you may have in the chat or write them down for the Q&A session later on. So moving into the topics that we're going to discuss today, they are applications, media, EFI Fiery, XM Pi, Free Flow Core, CAS, Specialty Colors. We'll close out with the Q&A session and then hand out some references and contact information at the end. So first get into the service and supplies. So to start the webinar off, we thought it was important just to get all of our customers on the same page. And here's our current state of business. Both CDS and Xerox understand that these certain businesses out there are considered essential and still require our help during this COVID-19 crisis. So if you need service, support, or supplies, we are still business as usual in those sectors. Any questions, please contact your sales representative, myself, Alan, anybody else within CDS that you deal with, or refer to the numbers that are on the slide here. Okay, and as we transition into the topics for today's discussion, I wanted to hand it over to Alan Tesler first. He's going to briefly talk about the updated 2020 Xerox color production portfolio.
Thank you, Kyle. We thought it would be helpful just to review what the existing Xerox production product line looks like before we get into any additional details. So this slide has a diagonal line going through it, and above the line are color products, and below the diagonal line are black and white products. So let me walk you through the color portion first, and you'll notice there's a big box with a red frame around it, and that's a new product, and that's called the Xerox PrimeLink 9065 and 9070. Those of you who have products called the C60 or the C70, and before that, the 550 and the 560, this is the replacement product for those products. And it has many similarities to the C60 and C70 and also many enhancements. As you move up the line, the next product is the Versant 180. The Versant 180 comes in a couple of versions, the basic version and the performance version. And Customers who had Versant 80s, this was the replacement product for that. Customers who had C75s, J75s, and before that, 700s and 770s. This is the space that the Versant 80 fits in. Moving up the scale to the 100-page per minute version of the Versant, the 3100, for heavier duty color production at 100 pages a minute. The previous product there was the Versant 2100. Above that, the 6-color Xerox press, the Irides. Irides replaced the color press, and there are many color presses out there. The Irides sits in that same marketplace space at 120 pages a minute. And then, of course, the iGen comes in multiple versions, including the iGen 5 150, which is the heaviest duty cut sheet laser printer that Xerox offers. Above that, by the way, we introduce our high-speed color inkjet solutions, including the Baltoro. But that's a discussion for another time. Below the diagonal line, you'll see another new product called the Xerox PrimeLink B series, coming in at 100 pages, 110 pages, 125, and 136 pages per minute. This is the new black and white light production machine, replacing the tried and true D series. So the new product in the black and white product line is this PrimeLink. Is available with a Fiery as well, just like the D series is, had also. And above the PrimeLink B series for heavy duty black and white production printing, of course, is the new Vera, which comes in about 10 different versions and speeds with an endless variety of feeding and finishing up. Just wanted to cover that so everyone knows where we stand. Kyle, back to you.
All right, awesome. So as we dive into the first topic today, I actually know that you wanted to take handle of that one. So we're going to discuss applications first and getting the most out of the Xerox press. So back to you, Alan.
You know, in talking with Xerox folks, we've tried to get a handle on what people are printing during the crisis. So some applications volume increase and some decrease. So we highlighted in yellow what we are hearing out in the marketplace are being asked for by our commercial print customers and also our in-plant clients. So, you know, some of this may seem obvious, but customers are printing more posters than they had before. Why is that? Well, for information purposes. There are lots of changes going on in lots of places, in plants, in offices, and in supermarkets and places that remain open. So there's a greater demand for informational posters to be hung on the walls for people to find out what the latest news is on a single sheet of paper on the wall. As many of you know, most restaurants are closed, but they're doing takeout business, takeout and delivery, particularly here in New York City, where I'm located. So menus are changing. They're smaller, less to choose from, and menus are being generated in the print environment in order to let the restaurant customers know what is currently available and what is not, for that matter. Window clings for the same reason that we talked about, things that can actually go in a window, announcing information, postcards, particularly in direct mail. What we're hearing from our clients is that there's still a lot of direct mail going out. It's at this point where many of us are sequestered, direct mail to their home continues to be an important element in terms of communication. On the extra large side, signage, again, for all the same reasons that I mentioned before, as well as announcements, political announcements about what's open and what's closed, what changes are going on. I happen to live in an apartment building, and I'm constantly getting updates slid under my door of announcements associated with changes in how we're managing access to the building and things of that nature. So we just wanted to highlight things that may be able to be used in your environments in order to continue to support your clients. Kyle, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Alan. So after talking about all the things that you can print on your Xerox device, I think it's time to now address the media capabilities and partnerships that we have. So moving to the next slide. So as far as the media goes, we have a great range of substrates that our Xerox presses can handle. So I know typically a lot of customers are just using uncoated and coated plain paper, but may not be aware of the large variety of substrates that are usable on the Xerox press. So some of the substrates that we've listed here for you: transparencies, labels, drilled stock, clings, magnets, linen, polyester, vinyl, envelopes. These are just a few of many media capabilities that the Xerox press has. So a lot of things are going to be utilized differently after the COVID-19 crisis. Things like chemical resistant and cleanable substrates will be important for sterile and clean environments. You'll have substrates that are weatherproof and tear-proof that'll be utilized for signage and stuff that goes outside. So these are just, again, a few examples of how the Xerox press can allow you to utilize different stocks and substrates to hit a wide range of applications that we actually just discussed on the last slide. So, and actually on the right, you'll see a couple partners that we work with. I'm sure some of these names are familiar to you, but Xerox, Relico, Mohawk, and GPA are just a few. So any questions regarding the media capabilities and the availability getting some of this paper, please reach out to Alan or I. Okay. So after discussing the media, we're going to move on to Fiery now. So we're lucky to be joined today by Jack Kindle, who again works with CDS and the production team in providing all the necessary training, software, and tools. So I'll hand things over to Jack now.
Thanks, Kyle. So, we're all kind of hunkered down both at EFI and everywhere else. We've really used this time to offer a lot of training, online training, and that sort of thing. So, we opened up. We have a couple of professional and expert certifications, and we opened this up to our partners, the people like CDS and Xerox. And in the first week worldwide, we had 1,500 people sign up for this. So there's a lot of online training going on right now, a lot of WebEx meetings, that sort of thing. So we have great resources here on our learning at EFI.com. There are product support. We've got downloads for how-to guides and that sort of thing. There's EFI communities. Go to EFI.com and just learning, search learning. You will see quite a bit of stuff available for free, and then there are some paid learning as well. So if you haven't seen some new software, I'm going to talk about that next. Go ahead, Kyle. Next slide, please. So some of you still may be on the old version of Fiery Command Workstation. We have a new version out there. It's 6. We're actually up to 6.5. So if you haven't updated, now might be a great time to do so. It is there are quite a bit of new features in there, and there is some online learning at learning.efi.com for Command Workstation. And as Alan spoke before about, direct mail, we also have a brand new free utility out there called Freeform Create. And Freeform has been around the Fiery since the beginning of time. When I started with the company in '95, Freeform was in the product. And basically what it will allow you to do is, this idea of creating a master file and a variable image or a variable text and merging that on the fly. So, Freeform, it was bring your own application. So maybe you're working in InDesign or Quark Express back then. And so that you would create a background, let's say the layout of your two-sided postcard, and then you had a database in Excel, and you would do a mail merge in Word to come up with, you know, first name, last name, name and address, and maybe a barcode, you know, for zip4. So you had to kind of bring your own elements to the Fiery, and then the Fiery would just merge them together. Well, we've been asking for this for at least 10 years, and they've come out with this great standalone utility. You can download it from our website. There's great how-tos. There's a video if you just want to watch the video and see what it does. But what it lets you do is actually do layout. You know, you still create your master in, let's say, in InDesign. But then you bring that Excel spreadsheet in and click and drag fields like you would, you know, let's say in a larger, you know, direct mail application. So, you know, I urge you to go take a look at that. It's on our website on EFI.com. You know, very easy. There's some, you know, like I said, there's some great how-tos. And then lastly, we've got the spot-on capabilities at the Fiery. If you've not made yourself aware of that, on the Prime Link, on that new engine that Alan was talking about, there's something called Spot Pro, which allows you to actually go in and pull Adobe Swatch Exchange patches into the Fiery, and as well as push those ASE files back to a designer. So now we're really opening up the Fiery, kind of this two-way communication with the desktop of the designer. So very excited about those things. And then lastly, for you guys, there's this resources on our website. It's the Fiery Online Resources, and you see the link. That you can see things like the Fiery Freeform Kit in the variable data side. There are how-tos. There's a Command Workstation Online Help. There's product downloads. There's all sorts of stuff really there. And if you haven't been there, go take a look at it. There's tons of opportunity for learning and maximizing your investment in Fiery. So that's it, Kyle. I think I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for all that information. And again, if anyone has any Fiery questions, type them in the chat and we'll address them later in the Q&A. So the next topic for discussion is going to be XMPie, which XMPie is a Xerox-owned company that enables its clients to utilize software plugins for applications like Adobe InDesign in regards to variable data printing and marketing campaigns. Not only does XMPie play a role in the variable data print arena, but it also plays into email and video campaigns as well. So the plugin allows you to merge Excel spreadsheets, especially formatted in Adobe InDesign, for example, to create personalized and localized applications that are different for each person. So specific levels of the software enable clients to actually track these campaigns and the impact that they're having on their clients and the return on investment. And lastly, the XMPie platform has a marketplace that allows you to shop for pre-created templates, which you can use commercially and royalty-free. You'll see on the right there, I've included some examples of some of the stuff that's found in the marketplace. And ultimately, I mean, this is a very powerful tool to have if you're doing a lot of variable data printing or marketing campaigns. And it's also a great way to get more jobs flowing through the press. So if this is something that's of interest to you, definitely let Alan Tesler or I know, and we are more than happy to have a conversation and get you over the information that you need. As well, you can go to the website link that you see at the bottom there, XMPie, where you can find all the resources and training available. So anything you'd like to add to that, Alan? I'm not sure if I missed anything.
No, that was great, Kyle. I'd just like to say that the XMPie product line is vast, and you can start with a relatively simple piece of software that is an InDesign plugin and move into literally thousands and thousands of dollars of software to help manage worldwide campaigns, including video, email, and track the usage of the clients. In other words, who's looked at what and what they're interested in, even to the point of tracking where they clicked when you direct them to a website. So a very scalable solution from XMPie, where you could start small and grow huge.
Perfect. I think that was excellent addition there. And that brings us into our next topic for discussion, which I know you wanted to handle, and that was going to be free flow core.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Kyle. So I'm not sure how many people know what FreeFlow Core is. It is a software product developed by Xerox, which is browser-based and offers intelligent automation of job flow. It integrates essentially the process of printing jobs from file preparation all the way through final production for a touchless type of workflow. It operates easily, it's very adaptable, it scales, and it offers consistency. Let me expound upon that a little bit. Why does anyone want to automate their workflow? Well, if you look at the top portion of this slide, you'll see that the actual printing cost of jobs as they move through your shop is only about 25% of the overall cost. 75% falls into other categories, a big piece of that being workflow. So if I can help automate the workflow, I could potentially take costs out of my operation. Now, what I've done on the bottom portion of this slide is I've showed a very simple workflow that is exactly what you'd see on your browser screen when you set up a workflow with multiple nodes in FreeFlow Core. So I could drop a PDF into my basic pre-flight folder where it'll go through a pre-flight process. Assuming it passes that process and doesn't kick it out to a different area, it can be then routed to a node which examines the file to figure out where it needs to be routed. If the file requires a rotation of one of its pages, it will route it to the top fork. And if it does not need to re-rotate a page, it can go to the bottom fork. If it goes to the top fork, the FreeFlow Core will look for that page, rotate it appropriately, move it to the next node where it will then be imposed into a calendar and sent to the printer. On the other fork, it does not necessarily need to reorient the page. It then just sends it to the next node, which imposes it into a saddle stitch booklet and sends it to the printer. So that's just an example of the kinds of things that FreeFlow Core could do to take pre-press touches out of the workflow as jobs move through the print shop. I hope that's helpful. You can get a demo version of FreeFlow Core from the Xerox website. It requires you to register, obviously, and it has some limits to its usage, but you can get an idea of how it might work in your environment. And of course, there's plenty of literature and demos available. For those of you who would like more interest, just let us know. Kyle, back to you.
Thanks a lot for that, Alan. And that brings us to our next topic, which was the customized application services. So you'll see here an example where the client we were dealing with needed to print more envelopes faster without having to stop the press to unload envelopes. So to get this client where they needed to be, we actually added a dynamically refillable feeder on the left. And on the right, we added a conveyor belt catch tray. This allowed them to feed the envelopes from the oversized high cap feeder while also giving them the ability to load envelopes from the top if needed. As for the conveyor belt, this allowed finished envelopes to go offline and to fall onto either a table or into a box. So on the second slide here, you'll see some examples of the different feeders and conveyors that are available. This is just one of the many customized applications that we're able to assist customers with. Any questions regarding something like this, definitely reach out to Alan or I. We've actually had, I would say, 1 or 2 people reach out to us recently about envelope printing, and this is something that we've discussed with them. So Alan, anything you'd like to add on the application services?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. So these products are designed for the Versant product line, and a lot of customers are clearly using Versant to print envelopes, but ends that capability. So you can use the feeder options to continue, and what happens is it pulls from the bottom, so you could continually load envelopes on the top, stop feeding of envelopes. And then on the output side, the conveyor simply grabs the envelopes and moves it off the tray and into a box or some other receptacle they catch them in. So it's an enhancement for customers doing envelopes who want to increase that capability or increase the on their versatility.
I think Alan might be having some difficulties. So we'll go ahead and move into the last topic for discussion, which is specialty color. So the reason we wanted to bring this up to our customers is because many of you now have the ability to actually add on a kit to the press, which in one fell swoop, you can change your CMYK process to a gold, silver, white, and clear process. So first, I just wanted to list off some of the presses that can actually handle these capabilities. You have the C60, C70, the PrimeLink 9065, and the 9070, which have an available add-on kit. You have the Irides, which is our 6-color, 1-pass mixed metallics press. You have the iGen, which has the gamut extension capabilities of adding in orange, blue, green, and fluorescence. So one of the first questions you might ask yourself is, how is CMYK Plus beneficial to my business? So, some of the things that we came up with were increased return on investment on jobs. Now that you have the ability to add metallics or embellishments to a job, you're able to charge a higher premium. So with this comes higher margins. You are able to expand offerings to current customers that you weren't previously. So something that you were doing in the traditional CMYK, you now can add in gold and silver to get certain effects. You're able to expand into markets you maybe haven't handled before. Now that you have the ability to do metallics and clear embellishments, maybe you can tackle some applications that you previously haven't. And last was an edge over the competition, really to take on jobs that require darker substrates, metallics, clear embellishments. You now can enter that arena, whereas your competition may not be able to take on those types of jobs. So I just think it was important to address some of the reasons, some of the ways it is beneficial to your business. And ways to utilize it, we have invitations, you have signage, corporate business forms, envelopes, and letterhead. You have marketing material, photo albums, and embellishments. So the next slide is just a representation of how that's made possible. Up top, you'll see a diagram that shows how you can print with both CMYK and the gold, silver, white, and clear on the same application to get those special effects and embellishments. The Vivid kit comes with a cabinet that makes swapping out the toner housings and drum housings quick and easy. The process of swapping them out takes about 15 minutes, and as you can see on the sample on the right there, you can now print with gold, silver, white, and clear on a black substrate that you previously couldn't do with your CMYK. So we just wanted to share this with everybody, and any questions anybody has regarding the kit, how to use it, or anything else regarding specialty color, please let us know, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. So that really concludes the final topic that we wanted to cover for today. I know Alan wanted to address something real quick before we head on to the Q&A, and that's regarding restarting your Xerox press, because I'm sure many of you, your presses have been turned off if you're not using them for at least a month now. So Alan, if you want to talk lightly on that. Alan, are you there? Well, it looks like we may have lost Alan here, but basically what he put together was just a list of what to do in regards to restarting the press. I know you're obviously not going to read all this, but if you would like a copy or a one-pager in regards to restarting the press, please let us know, and we will definitely send that out to you. So
Kyle,
oh, there he is.
Down their production machine, and it might not be turned on for a matter of weeks. Hopefully, customers, but realistically, here, can you?
It looks like you might have lagged. Yes, I can hear you.
Anyway, if you can, Anyway, if you can hear me, there's a list of things you should do if your machine has been turned off for any length of time. So if you follow the machine will
Hey, Alan, I think you're having some connection issues.
to that back into its more productive state. And if we
All right, I think we lost out here. So we're going to move over to the Q&A now. Again, we have Ernie, myself, Jack. I don't know if Alan's still here or not, but if anyone had any questions, we didn't have any submitted in the chat throughout the presentation, but does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? No one has any questions?
Hey, Kyle, I have a question for you. This is Wade. When would the color gamut extension, or in your experience, when is that most applicable? Because I understand that there's a way to match Pantone colors. So when are you seeing that extension needed?
So, in the past, I've actually dealt with a company that was looking to expand their color gamut, mainly to hit certain colors. It was a fabric company that really was color critical with certain brand colors. So extending that gamut with the iGen really allowed them to hit those colors that they needed to hit, whereas you weren't really able to do that without the addition of the green, the orange, the blue. So, when it comes to the iGen, we really deal heavily with Bill Cox, who I believe is on the call now, and another gentleman, Craig Simon, who are the two tigers that we deal with. But as far as the color extension goes, yeah, it's more or less to hit those Pantone colors and those brand colors that you're unable to hit with the traditional CMYK process. Ernie or Bill, anything you want to add to that?
This is Jack. I've got a little something to add. So in the Fiery for iGen 5, we do have a little bit of built-in, capability of optimizing your spot colors depending on what color is in the machine. So, if you've got an orange in the machine, we can go in and actually we'll mix, that orange based on what we know about the Pantone color. And we can even tell you if, this one's going to benefit by blue or green or orange. So, there is some stuff at the Fiery end that helps with that, as well as images. We can go in and actually apply, if you will, a bump plate of that, extended gamut color to an image and utilize the Fiery to actually make that happen.
Thank you for adding that, Jack.
Hey, Kyle, regarding the stacking capabilities on that offline envelope feeder, how many envelopes can one feed through that accessory, and would you happen to know the sizes that you can run?
So can you hear me? So for the customized feeders that you have here on the screen, I think you can see my screen now. Basically, it still goes off of how many envelopes you can fit in the oversized high cap feeder. That's on the left side of the machine. And what this allows you to do is, if let's just say you're not able to open that paper drawer while the machine is running, you're able to continuously load in envelopes on the top. From what I understand on the screen there, you should be able to see the specifics for the envelope sizes. The minimum size is 3.9 by 5.8, and the maximum input size is the 11.5 by 13.0. And you have the thicknesses on there as well. And remember, this is specifically for the Versant platform.
Great, thank you.
I'll leave it open for another minute. If anybody has any questions, if they want to type it in the chat. All right, so we'll just go ahead and move to the last slide then. One final statement that Alan and I just wanted to make at the conclusion of this presentation is, our job is to make sure that our customers are happy with their press and using the technology to maximize their business potential. So if you require any extra help or information, please let us know. If you're interested in a copy of this presentation, I did record it, so please let us know and we can send that over to you. And you can also find our contact information below on this slide. And most importantly, we wanted everybody just to stay safe and healthy during this time. And thank you again for joining us to go over how to get the most out of your Xerox
Hey,
color
Kyle.
production press.
Hey, Kyle,
Yes.
it's Alan. We can also make this presentation available in PDF form if anyone wants a copy of it. Just thought I'd mention that as well.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our presentation for today. Again, I didn't see any other questions come through the chat, but we will record this. And again, if you need it, please let us know and we'll send it over to you, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.